guys, did we know about Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia is the largest Muslim country with a population of about 35 million in 2025. Most of its people are working adults, followed by the youth and a small elderly population. The country has been ruled by the House of Saud since the 18th century and is led today by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Its system is influenced by conservative Wahhabi Islam. Located in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia borders the Red Sea and the Arabian Gulf and is home to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. It is the world's leading exporter of petroleum, managed by the state-owned company Saudi Aramco.
I am gonna talk about Saudi Arabia economic system and how it operates as a mixed economy. Saudi Arabia has a mixed economy which combine elements of market economy and also common economy. The government plays an important role in this economy, especially in key sectors such as oil and gas. For example, the government owns a major company like Saudi Aramco, which generate a large amount of revenue for the country. This revenue is then used by the government to fund essential public services such as healthcare, education, infrastructure, and also social programs. This shows how the government allocates resources based on national priorities and also meets the needs. At the same time, market forces also plays an important role in the other parts of economy. Private businesses are active in sectors like tourism, retail, entertainment, and also technology. In this industry, decisions about pricing, production, investments are mainly determined by supply and demand, competitions, and also market trends. This helps businesses operate more efficiently, encourage more innovation, and creates more job opportunities. This approach is important as Saudi Arabia is working to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on oil through Vision 2030 plan. Economic decision-making in Saudi Arabia is largely guided by the government through a long-term planning. Programs like Vision 2030 focus on diversifying the economy, developing renewable energy, and expanding the private sector. The government also use regulations, subsidies, and public investment to support more important industry. Overall, Saudi Arabia mixed economy allows the government to manage key resources while still giving the market the flexibility to operate more efficiently.
Now I will explain how petroleum prices affect demand, supply, and market equilibrium using the given market prices, and also discuss the factors influencing them. Let's start with demand. From the data, when the price is $95 per million barrels, quantity demanded is 8 million barrels. As the prices falls to $65, demand increases to 11 million barrels. This follows the law of demand, where lower prices lead to higher demand. One key factor affecting demand is the number of buyers. As countries like China and India expand economically, their oil demand increases. In Saudi Arabia, more drivers on the road also increase fuel demand, shifting demand outward. Supply refers to how much petroleum producers are willing to sell at different prices. At higher prices like $95, producers are more willing to supply oil. When prices fall to $65, producers reduce output to protect profits. A major factor affecting supply is price itself, but technology also plays an important role. Advanced technology allows Saudi Arabia to produce oil more efficiently and at lower costs, supporting supply even when prices fluctuate. Now let's talk about market equilibrium. In our petroleum market, this occurs at around $75 per million barrels, where both quantity demanded and quantity supplied are about 10 million barrels. When the price is higher than $75, like $95, producers supplies more oil, but buyers purchase less. This creates a surplus, meaning there is too much oil in the market. When the price is lower than $75, such as $65, buyers want more oil, but producers reduce supply. This causes a shortage. As a result, the price naturally moves back to $75, where the market is balanced.
Now, I'm going to explain the elasticity of demand and supply for petroleum in Saudi Arabia. First, let's look at the price elasticity of demand or PED. Petrol is very important in daily life because it is used for transportation, electricity, and many industries. Because of this, people and businesses cannot easily stop using oil even when the price increases. Therefore, the demand for petroleum is inelastic, especially in the short run. This means that when the price rises, the quantity demanded only falls slightly. For example, if the price oil increases by 10%, the quantity demanded may only decrease by around 1 or 2%. In Saudi Arabia, gasoline demand is also inelastic because people depend heavily on fuel and there are very few close substitutes. In the long run, however, demand may become more elastic as more people shift to energy-efficient cars or renewable energy. Next, let's consider the price elasticity of supply or PES. In the short run, the supply of petroleum in Saudi Arabia is also inelastic. This is because oil production requires a lot of time, investment, and advanced technology. Even if oil price rise, Saudi Arabia cannot increase production immediately. However, Saudi Arabia is different from many other countries because it has spare production capacity. This allows the country to adjust its output more easily, especially through OPEC Plus agreements. Still, in the short term, supply cannot change very much. In the long run, supply becomes more elastic when new oil fields are developed and more investment is made in production. Finally, a real-world example is when OPEC Plus cuts oil production. Even though oil price rise, people around the world continue to use almost the same amount of oil. This shows that petroleum is a necessity, so demand does not change much when price change.
I'm going to explain about the consumer behavior of petroleum in Saudi Arabia. Recent studies report that Saudi Arabia is one of the world's largest petroleum consumers, following countries such as the United States, China, India, Russia, and Japan. By December 2024, petroleum consumption reached about 3,958,000 barrels per day, increasing from around 3,900,000 barrels per day in December 2023. Petroleum in Saudi Arabia is mainly converted into gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and LPG for domestic use. Over the years, gasoline consumption has continued to rise, while diesel consumption has gradually declined. This trend reflects mixed signals in the kingdom's economic and energy sectors. Transportation accounts for the largest share of petroleum consumption, followed by power generation, industrial use, and petrochemical production. Gasolines and diesels are key transportation fuels, while crude oil is also directly used for power generations. Fuel prices in Saudi Arabia are subsidized, giving consumers multiple affordable options. Gasoline 91 is priced at 2.18 SAR per liter, gasoline 95 at 2.33 SAR, while diesel, kerosene, and LPG are cheaper. Most people prefer gasoline 91 because it is more economical and compatible with most vehicles, as many cars in the kingdoms are designed to use lower octane fuel.
Now I will explain what is wage determination under perfect competition like this. In perfectly competitive labor market, wages are determined by demand and supply of labor. Firms are known as wage takers, which means they cannot decide the wage on their own. Employers will hire workers until the wage rate is equal to marginal revenue product of labor. This ensures firms maximize profit and workers are paid fairly based on their contribution. I will explain to you wage determination by using my case example, which is Saudi Arabia's oil industry. In Saudi Arabia's oil industry, such as refining and drilling, the labor market operates close to perfect competition. Large companies like Saudi Aramco hire many workers, including engineers, technicians, and general workers. As more workers are hired, output increases but at decreasing rate due to diminishing return. When global oil demand rises, demand of labor also increase. This leading to higher wages and employment. Okay, when oil price fall, the demand of labor also decrease and resulting to lower wages and fewer jobs. Okay, next we move to factors influencing wage differences like this. There are several factors that influence the wage difference in the oil industry. First is skill level and education. Higher skilled workers like engineers earn more wages than general workers. Second is productivity of labor. When workers contribute more output or work with advanced technology, they earn higher wages. Third is location and working conditions. Oil jobs are often in hot desert or offshore rigs. So, as compensation for the risk they face, workers get paid higher wages. Lastly, government policy, especially Saudization. In the short run, limited skilled Saudi workers increase the wages, while in the long run, training program such as Nitakat is increasing the labor supply.
In conclusion, Saudi Arabia's petroleum industry play a key role in shaping the country economy. As the world's largest oil exporter, Saudi Arabia operates a mixed economic system where the government controls the oil sector while allowing market forces to work in other industries. The petroleum market shows how the demand and supply interact through the price and non-price factors. Global production changes, technology and buyer numbers affect oil prices and market equilibrium. Because oil is a necessity, demand is inelastic, and changes in price do not greatly affect quantity demanded. Supply is also inelastic in the short run due to high production costs. Although Saudi Arabia's spare capacity allow it to influence global supply and stabilize prices, fuel consumption in Saudi Arabia is affected by subsidized prices, with a gasoline 91 being the most commonly used fuel. Wages in oil industry are determined by labor demand and supply, influenced by skill levels, productivity, and government policies such as Saudization. Overall, macroeconomic concepts like demand and supplies, electricity, consumer behavior, and wage determination help explain how the petroleum sector supports Saudi Arabia's economies while adapting to global changes and Vision 2030.